Hello and welcome to After Equality. My name is Christy, and today I'm talking to Tia Vidal, who is an abundance witch. She helps people through EFT, and she calls it actually psychic EFT. So it's really interesting because she does do abundance work and coaching and things like that, but with kind of a witchy twist. I'm really excited for this conversation. Let's get right into it. It's going to be great. 1, 2, 3. Hi, hello, how are you?
Hello.
So, you are in Paris, which is like a dream. Yeah, you're.
Yes, I live in Paris. I live in Paris. It's been tough. I think living in any big city is tough during these COVID times.
Uh-huh.
Um, and yeah, we live in a really like populated area. I mean, it's a big city, so anywhere. But yeah, I like have not gone out that much.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Just it's just people everywhere, which is usually great, if they're in cafes and whatnot. But yeah.
Yeah. I think I just like I love that. I mean, I've talked about this before. Like I love Zoom and just the ability to be able to talk to people in other parts of the world. And so like I remember loving Paris when I went there. And so I'm like a little bit jealous that you're there.
It is. I mean, I do pinch myself sometimes when I'm um we don't live close to any like monuments or anything like that. But when I run errands and I have to go like by the Arc de Triomphe or I pass the Eiffel Tower or Notre Dame or Sacré-Cœur, any of those things, I'm like, wow. Like I've been here over 20 years and I'm just never going to get tired of it. And I don't want to stay here forever either. So there's a part of me is really enjoy it now.
Yes, for
Yeah.
sure. I mean, like, especially post COVID, like, are you gonna like, do you have any plans to go out or like what's the first thing you want to see, like when everything really clears up?
Oh, well, just going to a cafe,
Yeah.
just sitting in a cafe, and I feel emotional just talking about it because um yeah, I think I might like shed a little tear or something when I see other people
Yeah.
because it's going to happen before I'm actually will even go. There's restrictions that are being lifted next
Okay,
week on
great.
the 19th. Yeah, pretty soon, but I don't get my second shot until like the 20 something of June. So I'm gonna wait until I have, till I'm fully vaccinated until I
Yeah.
go to a cafe, do something as daring as going to a cafe. But I'm like, I'm gonna be there. I'll do that this summer. So those are my exciting
Yeah.
summer plans.
I love it. I love it. Okay, so let's get into the conversation for today. To start us off, can you just like describe what you do exactly?
Yeah, yes, thank you for asking. I am an abundance witch. That's what I call myself, and that's what I do. That's what I am. I help people with their money, mind, body, and spirit. So, mind, so that, yeah, and it really is those like mind, body, spirit, um, mindset. Of course, there's the abundance mindset and money mindset. Um, Body, I do um, kind of an embodiment. It's called energy psychology. Um, with the way that our beliefs and our relationship to money is mapped out in our bodies, in our actual bodies. And I know that sounds really strange to people who have heard that the first time, but I promise you, you feel it in your body. You feel money in your body, or you have a reaction. You have kind of an electrical reaction in your body when it comes to different things about money and relationship to money. So I help people with that with something called a tool called EFT, emotional freedom technique, or tapping. And then the spirit side is my like the witchy stuff is I work with people like with the moon, we'll do tarot, yeah, things like that. Other
That's
stuff too. Yeah.
amazing. I love it. And I mean, you're absolutely right. Just talking about going or, going back to the relationship of with yourself and money. I think money is I feel like I've read this in places where money is actually one of the most triggering things for a lot of people. It's a stressor for a lot of people.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. It's very triggering. And the thing I love about working with money, and it's one of those things that's kind of a portal to everything else, um, is that when I'm working with somebody and their relationship to money, it's not just about money. It's not just about abundance. It's not just about wealth. It's not just about their business. When you start to work on those triggers, like the deep triggers, it really you'll see it has some, there it touches your life in all the different ways. Not the money, but the beliefs and the associations and all that will affect everything else. Um, so it's really interesting, and it is very triggering. And I'm actually like certified to do this, and I did that years ago. And it's taken me a long time to be able to uh to market myself as, somebody who works with money. I did it, I tried it, and it felt really, like I still had a lot of processing to do. I still had a lot of triggers around it. I felt really vulnerable marketing myself because people are very triggered when you just tell them that you work with money. And um and so I just couldn't, I couldn't hold that energetically back then, and emotionally, and just like it's already hard to market yourself in business sometimes when you're just starting out, and you pick a topic that's really sensational, um, meaning just it makes you feel a lot of sensations. That I tried it and I was like, oh no, I'm just gonna do something else. I'm just gonna be a life coach. But I was like, no, because everything goes back to that for me. So to the money coaching or abundance
How
coaching.
did you find yourself entering into this space of being an abundance witch, and how did because it kind of changed for you, right? Like you kind of started in a different place and you ended up here.
Yeah, yeah, yes, definitely. Yeah, I had a corporate job for 15 years, which is why I ended up in Paris. There was a base here, and I transferred here, and then I ended up staying. Um, and what brought me here was that I wanted to start my own business. Well, that job terminated, so I had to figure something else out. And I did. I got like a Pilates certification, and then life took a huge turn. We had one baby then, and then I had another baby, and he was born with a very rare syndrome, and so huge changes in our family and dynamics and everything. And I just wanted to stay at home. So basically, I wanted to work from home, do something that was meaningful. And even when in my corporate career, I was just like, I always had that idea. I want to help people. I want to help people. I was in the service industry. I was a flight attendant. Pilates also, I want to help people, because you're helping people to get stronger. And finally, I settled on life coaching, mindfulness coaching for other parents of special needs children,
Oh, okay.
because that was me, and I was already using mindfulness techniques, and they were helping me a lot. And so I tried that for a while, and I couldn't get it to work. And now looking back, I was like, I thought it was going to work really, really fast, and it didn't. But it got me to start exploring money, um, what you would call money blocks. Um, yeah, it got me to exploring all that. So I started to look into it, and it opened portals for me. And I started following this one person who was using EFT, emotional freedom technique, for money. So um, it wasn't really law of attraction or like this toxic positivity. it was actually sitting with all the shadows, money shadows. And I was just like so attracted to that because I was feeling really disempowered at that time because and it had to do a lot with my son's diagnosis. But it was showing up in my business and I hadn't connected those dots really. And it was through this money, shadow work that it was just blew my mind that I started to connect the dots to a lot of stuff that was underneath. And I knew I was like, this is what I'm going to do. Um, so I did that for a while and then I decided to get certified in doing that after about a year. And yeah, and that's how I began this whole money witchery journey. But that was a lot. That was like 8 years ago. And yeah, and then I did it and then I stopped it and then did other things. And I've done, a couple other things in between. And I've just recently in the last year come back to this because really just soul searching. With so much clarity, this is what I'm here to do. And it really is like for the collective, like important for me to do this work for the collective. Um, yeah.
I love that. I love that. That's great. Could you go into a little bit of what the witchy stuff is? Because you mentioned that a couple of times, and I kind of like I want to just go in depth into that more because it's not just because I feel like you mentioned EFT and you mentioned like psychology and you even mentioned the law of attraction, which you can talk about as well because I think like there was a shift there. Um, because what you do isn't necessarily the law of attraction, but it's also like yeah.
Yeah.
So let's go
Yeah.
to the stuff first because I think that's so cool. It's like it's interesting and it's very like it's cool.
So the witchy stuff is um when I started to do EFT, my certification, it was very, very like really learning scripts, really learning things by rote and um not boring at all, but I mean that was just kind of the training wheels, right? And so practicing with people with the training wheels on. A couple of years into it, I mean, slowly, it happened just very organically and slowly. Totally stopped using any scripts, just went really organic, and very intuitive. Like my my work with people was very, very intuitive, and um, and just letting that unfold the way it does. Now with the EFT, so if for anybody out there that has never heard of this, it's tapping, and you're tapping on meridian points, and it is a tool that lowers your cortisol. And there are quite a few studies now that demonstrate that it actively lowers your cortisol. So it's really interesting. It's used for PTSD, it's used for phobias, and it's used for addictions, and it's used for a number of things. It's really, really good. And what you're doing is you're sitting with all the gunk or all the triggering around these things, and you're tapping and you're voicing out some of the shadows or some of the like the scripts that will loop in our minds over and over again. When like for example thinking about money, somebody might say over and over in their head is it works for everybody else but not for me, or success is for everybody else or not for me, something like this, like these scripts, and they're there and they're playing over and over, not consciously, subconsciously. But we dig, I have the ways that we dig into that, investigate that. And so when we're sitting and doing the tapping, lowering the cortisol, tapping on the meridian points, that's all, we're neutralizing the nervous system to be able to, you're kind of untriggering it that's not a word, but you're taking the trigger away from these very triggering things. And that is so powerful. It's really, really it's like a game changer. So that's all like that's pretty classic EFT. So when I started to go off script and off, off road with my EFT, I noticed that I would close my eyes and go into a bit of a trance, not looking at any of the notes I had even taken with the person sitting in front of me. And it's just like really like I was just like it's intuition just coming out, and people were always blown away, and we're getting pretty amazing results and feedback. And um I did that for one person once, and she wrote me a testimonial and she called me a channel. And back then I was like, there's no way. I'm like, I'm not a channel. What is she on about? Like, and I was actually, it scared me that she called me that. And
Like a psychic channel, right?
yeah, like a psychic channel. And I was like, no, no. And I was like, what if my friends or family saw that? What would they think? Um, it was a really interesting reaction. And so I put that to the side, but I started to think about it also, and think about when I was a girl, and my mother, I'm Mexican heritage, and my mother would always call me bruja almost every other day. She was call me bruja, and not to name call me at all. She would call me that to because I would just announce things, or I would say things, or I'd do freaky things, and I just announce things wasn't supposed to know. And she was always like, bruja. Like, what? How did you know that? And so I was kind of getting back in touch with this psychic power that I was in touch with when I was younger. And I had closed the door to very firmly, not consciously, but obviously I had that reaction, like, I'm not a channel, I'm not a psychic channel. So she opened that door just a crack for me. And then I started to open it. And then I started to really observe myself inside of the tapping sessions, and that I was channeling. Yeah. So I came to completely embrace that. And I have my tapping, I call it psychic EFT. So I've completely so that's the witchy part of all of it. And what else did you?
No, that was basically it. I'm
Yeah.
just curious, like, do the spirits have a lot to say about money?
No, it's not. I'm not channeling. Well, okay. It has happened just a couple of times, that like I'm not actively calling in spirits or anything, but ancestors do have a lot to say sometimes, or contribute to that.
Okay.
And it's not I don't know what I don't know what it is. I don't know. It's not any kind of training I've ever had. Um, but the feedback that I get from the people that I've worked with is that I am speaking to things that they did not talk about, that they didn't mention during what I call the investigative part of our work together. So
Okay. No, I love that. It's kind of like I think I mean, you did mention it. It's like it's intuition.
yeah,
Like
yeah,
it's like a very strong intuition, but it's almost more than that.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I love that. Okay, so let's go back to because we mentioned the law of attraction a little bit, and I know that there was kind of like a shift there that you went through with the law of
Yeah.
attraction, like that philosophy and that training and stuff.
Yeah, yeah. I was the law of attraction. I was attracted to the law of attraction, which what it's meant to do, but repelled also almost instantly. Um, And now I'm so grateful for but I had like some triggering moments. One of them was a law of attraction coach that I was following years ago, and she was talking about her kids and how she had trained her children, because you have to be happy all the time and positive all the time, and um, kids raising kids is there's a
Oh,
lot of joy. There's can be a lot of joy in it, but there's a lot of other things too. And so she was saying that she had trained her children um to not piss her off, I guess. I can't remember exactly what she wrote. But I just remember reading that and thinking about my son with that was born with Prader-Willi syndrome, and not that he angered me at all, but that I had a lot of fear about his future, about his outcomes, about his well-being. And that was, I felt that and I knew that and I was very aware of that, and that I couldn't belong to this club because I couldn't. How am I going to get rid of my worry and my fear for my son that I was born with this, this handicap, or this condition. So I remember thinking, like, seeing that and going, what the I was like, and I was angry at the law of attraction whole idea of it. I was disappointed. I felt like really dejected. But then there was like a part of me that felt um, determined. So I think with the law of attraction, it's just part of the truth, right? And I think it's just been so dangerous and harmful because people will not admit that they have shadows and have shadow side that are really into this. Uh, I mean, and this not to generalize either, but it's just you're rejecting part of your humanness, you're all good vibes all the time. It's just not possible. It's not, I mean, maybe 90, even if it's 99%, 1%, which is already like that's a lot. No, it's just not human. It's just like rejecting part of yourself.
yeah.
And I think that's harmful because when we do that with ourselves, like anything else, we do it with other people. So something bad happens to me, you have this voice inside of yourself, and we already are very, like, humans in general, very hard on themselves. But with the law of attraction, it's like, I did this to myself. I wasn't thinking the right thing. Also, looking out into the world, other people, they're doing it to themselves too. Like everybody's bringing on these whatever bad things. And I just can't subscribe to that at all. I can't subscribe to that.
Yeah, well, and I think you mentioned it, and you made it's a very interesting point. Because I actually had this conversation with a friend like not too long ago where like especially around like toxic positivity and that kind and because I feel like that's kind of a topic that's being brought up now. But with toxic positivity, like it's not saying that it's not a good thing to put good vibes out. Like, because obviously, like, it's great to put good vibes out into the world, but it's also like it's also healthy to do. I guess it's called shadow work to like to understand that like there are still bad things that happen.
Yeah. And it's not, yes. I mean, and I think right now, like the awareness, the collective awareness about systems of oppression, which of course oppressed people have been aware of all the fucking time. But like the big collective now is going, oh, okay, yeah, that's not somebody calling things in negatively to themselves. I'm sorry, it's just not. And as far as the like what you said, the shadow stuff is what I really believe is that in order to be truly joyful, you like super, yeah, you want to be good vibes, work through your shadows. Like sit with all of that, because that is loving yourself wholly, completely. I don't mean holy like halo, I mean like whole,
Yeah.
like everything. um completely, like all of everything, all of the stuff that seems like too terrible to love. And that's when you can really like glow, right? Not when you're suppressing stuff. I think that comes out all sideways, and I think you can see that. I think you can feel it also.
Well, it's like, when we talk about people bottling up their feelings.
Right.
And that's, I mean, it's usually like, that's usually refers to negative feelings. And so I feel like it's healthy to be able to sit in those spaces and to understand, like, what is happening, to really take stock of what those, like, what the feelings that are being triggered within you because of those like events, or because of those aspects of the world, or whatever things that are happening. Like, it's okay and it's healthy, and we should all do that more. Like, just take that
Right.
time to sit in it and
Right.
understand why those things are making us feel the way they're making us feel.
Right. And that none of them are actually, and this is another point of view, is none of them are actually positive or negative,
Right.
right? Because sometimes there are things in this world that we should be angry about, that are injustices, and that we can use that. It's not good when you suppress it, but when you actually harness it, and you can go out and make, do take action, make a difference, do whatever it is. And not everybody is meant to be out, like, but there's little things that all of us can do when we have that awareness, when we love that within ourselves. We can love the world, we can love others that way also, in their pain, in their sorrow, in their um whatever what they're going through. Because and we can't if we don't hold that for ourselves. And money is a portal for all of that. It really is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. It's definitely, like I said, it's a conversation I've been seeing more and more. And so I love that I'm having this conversation with you right now, because I think it's
Yeah.
so important to be able to talk about this.
It is. It's a big shift. It's a big shift that has happened. Um, because I had a business. My business was called She Rocks Wealth right after I got my um, money temping certification. And that's just like I smirk when I say that, because it's so like LOA, like law of attraction, it's like She Rocks Wealth. I'm like, cringe. I'm saying it out loud here. Because I was trying so desperately to ride that wave, knowing that, like, with my training, was like sitting with the shadows, sitting with all the pain that money can, that we have felt within our bodies in relationship to money. And so I would write articles or like blogs, like sell like our a path to self-love through your money shadows. Like, I'm so desperately trying to get people to like, come on, come with me. And back then the reaction was like, no,
Yeah.
no, I don't want to look at that. I don't want anything to do with your money shadows, or any of that. Or no pain. It just really fell on its face. So I think it's a good time to I've looked for those blogs that I wrote so long ago, and I can't find them. I think that they belong to that,
Another
Google
life.
suite, whatever, the business suite that I had, and I was just like, burn it down, burn it all down.
Yeah.
Um, yeah.
Yeah. It's another life. Like, you can move past that now.
Yeah, I've done that quite a bit in my business. And so just so anybody out there, that yeah, I've burned things down and I've started new a couple of times, and that's completely normal also. And that's something that I beat myself up about, but I was just like, looking for the right voice. I'm like, I know what I want to do. I know what I'm really good at, but it just didn't feel, because I was doing it inside of a law of attraction, positive vibes only uh bubble, and that's who I was speaking to. So it just felt so off, and I was trying to be that also. So just cut yourself some slack if you're listening or watching, and that feels like you have to keep starting over. You'll hit it.
Yeah. Well, and I
Yeah.
think it kind of goes into the idea of authenticity. Because,
Hmm.
like, again, like, as much as good vibes only and positive vibes only are great, and we should be putting good vibes out into the world, I think it kind of borders on inauthenticity to be that all the time, or to try to tell yourself that you are positive all the time, because again, like, it's very human to have negative feelings, to have these, like, shadows, to have these things that are not
Yeah.
necessarily positive.
Yeah. And I think as far as processing all that's um you know people can do it whatever way they want, but that can come out a bit sideways also. So doing that, um what was it, I'm trying to think of a saying, um show the scar, not the wound.
Mm-hmm.
Or so not show it, but like, so yeah, so you're not like
Yeah.
necessarily, um but processing that and giving yourself the room and the space and the support, finding support around that, other people that can hold you inside of that, and yeah, and
Yeah. I love it. I love it. So, do you think your personal journey, your experience is helpful to your work now?
oh my gosh, yeah, I wouldn't be doing this without my personal experience, I think. Yeah,
Yeah.
in so many ways. Yeah,
Yeah.
but I think that's true for small business owners. um it's hard to extrapolate one from the other. um and that's why the money work is so important too, because it shows. That's something that I have learned, is that like the trauma will come out in your business, right? Undealt with trauma will come out. And I do this work, but I also and I'm a huge advocate for mental health, and I have a therapist that I meet with weekly, and I have support, I have some support also, and that's all helped me so much.
Yeah. No, I think that's great. And I love that you're so transparent about that. What does coaching with you look like? So how do you, like, when someone comes to you as like a new client, or as a new I'm not sure what the term is, like,
Yeah,
what
it's
does that
fine.
look like? Okay.
So, what do you mean? What does it look like? A session? What does a session look
Yeah,
like?
like,
Or
how does coaching look with you? What do you go through? What are the kind of steps you take? And, like,
yeah,
how you get your client from point A to point B?
yeah. So it's like I love like a good like a 6 month coaching experience, because in the beginning it is teasing things out, really getting to know patterns, getting to know um, narratives, things like this, and using processes that I did learn in my training that go very deep and really give a big global eye view. Um, that and then also because I don't have any kind of a we don't have to do it any certain way. Like if somebody's launching, for example, and they're freaking out because, for whatever reason, and they're in launch, then we can just tap it, like what's coming up for you. We do the investigation, um, what that is exactly for them. We go deep into that, and then we do a bit, a tapping EFT around that. That is always recorded, um because they can do that, like especially if it's something that comes up as a pattern, that I really recommend that they just have their little tapping own unique tapping library, because it's, even if you you're up leveling, a lot of times it's the same things that will come up at a different level. So that can be very, very handy to do. Um, so, but I have the processes that we work on, and then it's also what's coming up, what's happening in your business, what's triggering you in your life right now, what's triggering you in your business right now, just diving into that, and then doing tapping around it, and bringing down the cortisol, neutralizing the nervous system, really, opening up to that. And we will have um a statement. We'll make a statement in the beginning. um Maybe it is, I'm horrible with money, right? I'm horrible with money. Somebody has that belief. I'm really bad with money. Like I get it, and then I just, it just evaporates or whatever. So they might believe that, and that might be like measuring 0 to 10. There might be like a 10 or like a 9 or 8. So measuring that, and then we do the tapping. Like, where are you now? Oh, I'm a 5, or I'm a 7, or I'm a 2. Just measuring that, and then letting them know that every time that they do the tapping at home, measure it, do the statement. Where are you feeling with that exact statement? And measuring it, do the tapping again, and you can see that way. It's kind of like I've never kept a graph actually, but that's not a bad idea. But you could see you can see that it's less triggering, and that all is connected, because it's also the messages that you send to your, the things that you are saying. You can change, you completely rescript what you're telling yourself, which is, that is kind of law of attraction, is the affirmations that you do. But creating positive affirmations, or affirmations, which are questions, that really are supportive, and are something that they want to, shift out of. So I'm awesome with money. I trust myself with money would be a great affirmation. Or why do I trust myself so, with money, so much with money? Because, you start answering those questions, and that's what you start scripting in your head. So it's literally creating new neural pathways.
That's really interesting. That's really
Yeah.
cool, actually. And I mean, like
Yeah.
I think we tried a little bit of it in our first conversation. You had me like tapping here, and I told you like you asked me like what my first thought was when you said the word debt, and
Yeah.
my
Well, I had
shoulder,
to do the projection, like a
yeah,
projection,
and my
right?
shoulders just tensed right up, and I was like, oh God. But then
Yeah.
and we only did it for maybe what, like 2 minutes, and by the end of that, like I had, like I had told you, like I just paid off a credit card, and that felt great, and we sat in that for like a good minute.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
like yes, it sounds really woo woo, but it's actually like it's very cool, like once you experience it.
Yeah. Yeah. It works. It works. And I have a one time, because I know people are be like, what? I don't know what you're doing, but I want to try it. Um, so I have a what, like they can buy one session and see what that feels like, and what that's like. They don't have to commit to the 6 months or anything
That's
like that.
great. I mean, that was gonna be my next question. Like, how do people find you, and what do you offer? What are your programs? What is it? What is that?
Yeah, so they could find me at Tia Vidal on Instagram. And then I also have a Facebook page. It's Tia Vidal Coach. Um, and yeah, I have like a LinkedIn, or not LinkedIn, Linktree on my, the link in my Instagram. This has my website and all that. And what I offer is I have the one-off session that people can experiment, see if and also me see if it's a good fit or not, or but so one session sometimes can do a lot. I have some pretty amazing testimonials for like people that have finally like bought a house, gotten the job, just from one session. Um, or there's a 6 month 6 month coaching package, and that's basically all I have right now. I'm not doing any um group things at the moment. Yeah, I'm just focusing on one-on-one. Yeah.
That's okay. I think that's great, especially because like I mean, as everything we've talked about today is very subjective. So I think it makes sense to be very individual about these
Yeah.
conversations.
Yeah. 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 I'm waiting. I think if I feel called to do that in the future, but I've tried in the past also, and it just feels like it just is not it's yeah, I need to find that recipe or find that it's not happening right now. The one-on-one work is it's just so specific. It's so specific to each person, and I love it. I love that. So I'm just gonna keep rocking that.
I love that. Well, thank you so much for coming and sitting with me today and having this conversation. It was really great and really enlightening. And I love that you're doing this work and this was just a really great conversation. I know it's a holiday over there, you said, so I'll let you get back to your husband and your son.
Thank
Um,
you. It was
thank
such a pleasure to sit and talk with you.
Yeah, definitely. And we'll do a follow-up because I think we had another conversation that we wanted to have as well. So we'll definitely we'll talk
Yes.
about that.
Expats.
Yes, yes. All right. Well, thank you so much and have a
Okay.
great rest of your day.
Okay, thank you. Bye, you too.
And then thank you so much to Tia for coming and speaking with me today. I know it was a very interesting conversation, and I'm so happy that she's doing this work and helping people through just their stressors. And like I said, we when we had our first conversation, we actually did do a little bit. She tried it with me, like with like the tapping and stuff, and it was really cool because it's very interesting because it kind of makes you sit into those feelings and really acknowledge them for what they are. So I will have all her information in the show notes and the captions so you can find her on her socials and her website, and then also get a session for yourself if you're interested. And yeah, thank you so much. This is great, and I can't wait to sit with you again next week.